What is up, guys? My name is Ricky, and it is finally here. The Battlefield 1 beta is open and everybody can enjoy it. Now, I've sunk a considerable amount of hours into it already and have unlocked all the available weapons and gadgets for all of the classes. And I think now would be a great time to go over each class and tell you my findings for each of their weapons. Starting with the Assault class. Now, the Assault class has always had a place in my heart, simply because of one reason: the time to kill. In Battlefield, it's very important not to be shooting at the same person for 10 minutes. Nothing is worse than rounding the corner and starting a gunfight with one person and losing simply because his gun had a higher damage output than yours. And in previous Battlefields, the Assault class had access to some of the fastest time to kill weapons. And in Battlefield 1, they've changed up the Assault class just a little bit. Now your weapons aren't going to be laser beam accurate like you're used to, but they're still going to dominate up close. When you round a corner and you start a gunfight with just one person, and he's not an Assault class player, you're probably going to win that firefight. Now, the new map, Sinai Desert, really doesn't lend itself to Assault class gameplay. You'll do fine between C and D flag, but everywhere else the engagement distances are just so far that you're not going to hit your target. The new Medic class and the Scout class do very well on this map, and if you can't close the distance, you're going to lose your firefights. But there's still some incentive to use the Assault class on this map. In their current state, tanks are very powerful right now. And the only class that has the equipment readily available to deal with them is the Assault class. So now that you've decided to pick the Assault class on Sinai Desert, let's go ahead and start talking about what weapons you'll have available to you. First, let's talk about the MP18 Trench. We'll consider this the base MP18 gun. Now we're saying base because the artillery version and the experimental version are really still the MP18, they just have different attachments that cause them to play differently than the base gun. Now they're doing these new pre-made weapon customizations because in older Battlefields it was harder for newer players to understand the customization system. You have no idea how many times I've picked up another soldier's kit to find out that he was running a PDW with an ACOG scope, or an H-23 with a heavy barrel. With the old weapon attachment system, it was harder for players to understand that they were actually making their guns play worse than if they were just running their weapon naked. Now it looks like we'll still be able to manage our own customizations for each of the weapons, but at the moment this feature's been locked inside the UI. Now the MP18 is actually one of my favorite weapons so far. At a firing rate of 550 rounds a minute, sure you'll get out damaged by the Automatico, but the damage department isn't really where this gun shines. The MP18 has amazing hipfire capability, and with 32 rounds in a drum mag only shooting at 550 rounds a minute, this gun is excellent for clearing out buildings and rooftops. And since the MP18 does 22.5 damage up close, you could technically kill 6 guys before having to reload. Now onto the MP18 artillery version. In this version of the gun, you sacrifice hipfire accuracy for overall accuracy. And the iron sights on this gun is actually replaced with about a 2 times multiplied red dot sight. Now the improved accuracy and the red dot sight on this gun make it a lot easier to go for your medium range engagements. Now this gun is one of my favorite variations on the MP18, however I feel this gun does a lot better up close. Once you start increasing the engagement distance to medium to long range, you're going to lose a lot of your firefights to the Medic and Scout classes. It also should be noted that the aim assist on magnified scopes feels a lot weaker than if you were just running iron sights. Now this won't be a problem for you if you're an excellent marksman, but if you're like me and all of your siege headshots are actually on accident, then it might be a better idea to just run the iron sights. And again, I feel this weapon shines up close, so you really don't need magnified sights on it. Now on to the MP18 Experimental. DICE, why is this even a thing? The experimental variant of this gun is just like the artillery variant, but with even higher increased overall accuracy, but at a sacrifice of only being a burst fire weapon. Now sure, you'll be able to hit those longer range targets, but again, if that target is a medic, you're gonna die anyways. And in CQB, this weapon being a burst fire weapon, your time to kill is significantly higher than if you were just running the factory version of this gun. So all in all, this variation is gonna be a no for me. Now on to the Automatico. Now this is like the AEK of Battlefield 1. It shoots 900 rounds a minute and it hits at 21 damage maximum. This weapon will melt your face off in CQB. And all this DPS comes at a price. You only have 25 rounds in a magazine, and that magazine is in your face. You might lose a target behind it every now and then. On top of that, 900 rounds a minute with only 25 rounds in the magazine, you're going to kill 1, maybe 2 people before you have to reload, but the reload time is very forgiving. Now, the light infantry version of this gun shares all the same properties as the factory version, except it has a lot more manageable recoil. Now, because of this, you can easily go for longer range targets, but I would never recommend going for anything further than 20-30 meters with the Automatico. And the trench version of this gun shares all the same properties as the factory version, except it has a much higher hipfire accuracy. All in all, I would say my favorite Automatico would be the light infantry version, simply because the other versions just aren't that different. And I'd much rather have better recoil than hipfire any day. Next we have the shotguns. Now, I don't know if it's because I'm used to Rainbow Six shotguns and all the glory that they are on that game, but shotguns need some loving in Battlefield 1. They have more than one thing going against them, the first being the map that we have currently in the beta. This map is full of long range engagement distances, and by nature, shotguns are used up close. Second is that Battlefield is still using random number generators to determine where your pellets are going to land every time you take a shot. Each time you take a shot, it's like rolling the dice. Is my shotgun blast going to favor the right side or the left side, top or bottom? Am I even going to hit my target? Especially when it comes to hip-firing shotguns. And when I think of shotguns, I think of hip-firing all day long. But since hipfire is less accurate than ADS fire, the random number generators are even more of an issue when it comes to hip-firing. You can have your hipfire reticle directly over your target and still miss. This has gotten me killed on more than one occasion, and it is extremely frustrating. And I think this is the reason why we don't see shotguns that much in the Battlefield 1 beta. Of the entire 16 hours that I have put into this beta, I have yet to be killed by a shotgun once. But even after all of that, shotguns are still extremely fun to use, provided you can close the gap. The Model 10A factory works just like a shotgun in Battlefield 4, just you gotta get really close, and that's almost impossible to do in this map sometimes. And the heavy functions almost exactly like the factory version, but it has a 2x sight on it, which I don't really understand why, and it trades damage for accuracy. So your pellets will go further in a tighter group, but they're not going to do as much damage, and a lot of your kills are going to have to be 2 shots, and with the pump action shotgun, that can be a death sentence if you're going up against an assault player. So there you have it, that's an overview of all the weapons that you have available to you as the assault class in the Battlefield 1 beta. And I hope this has been helpful to you if you've been trying to decide what weapons to use as the assault class. Also, I want to hear what you have to say. What weapons are you guys using in the Battlefield 1 beta? Do you like the assault class weapons? And which ones do you hate the most? And if you're new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe. I just recently hit 100 subscribers a couple days ago, and I could not be any happier. Let's keep that sub train rolling. So thank you again for watching, and have a good one.